One of the challenges that we always face as gardeners, especially self-sufficient gardeners, is how to deal with the hunger gap. And there's lots of strategies for that, and I'm just going to talk about the one that I take today for leafy greens, brassica greens really. And there's a few things that you can do, a few things that I've been experimenting with that have worked quite nicely for me, and things that are well and tried and tested as well. So we'll start with the things that are tried and tested, which are basically to grow a perennial kale, something like Taunton Dean or Daubenton's. And we like the Taunton Dean. It's really prolific in spring. It's pretty good actually all year round, but it really is exceptional in spring, and so that's when you really want it. And the second thing we do is obviously spring cabbages. We actually like to take quite a lot of them as loose leaf, so just collard greens basically. What's the next things we do? Then we're on to kind of slightly more experimental. So I really like to plant sprouts. I'll either start them about now, or I'll start them in sort of January, early February time, and then I'll grow those on and I'll plant them out in the lettuce, interplanted into the lettuce beds. I like to do clumps of 3, so 3 sprout plants in a single module. I'll do 9 of those in one of my square metre beds. As a result, what you get is a huge profusion of leaves. Not every one of those 27 plants will thrive, but that doesn't really matter. You'll probably get like 18 or 19 that will really thrive, because you never know which ones they're going to be. So it's worth overplanting a little bit. But the beauty of sprouts is that they tend not to go to seed when they're planted early in the year. If you planted a kale early in the year, it would just run to seed in May. But a sprout won't do that. It'll run to seed maybe, when a normal sprout does normally, like the year after. So it's a fantastic plant for leafy greens. We really like sprout leaves. They're incredibly healthy. You will get some sprouts as well in July time, and that's an added bonus. We tend to take those early plants out in about late July and August, basically after we've taken that first flush of sprouts off them. So what else do we do? Well, we like to do some late kales. Now, I'm going to plant those today, so I'll show you what they look like. And the later the better, in a way, because you will just get a few more weeks of harvest off them the smaller they start off this year. But of course you don't want to do them too late, because they won't then grow to maturity in time. So I'm having a nice wide variety of different ones that I'm trying this year. I'll show you those later. And it's nowhere near as good as sprouts. So you're only going to get a few extra weeks of harvest from them. But that few extra weeks is really worth it to us, because we don't buy any veg. So for us, if we don't have those greens, we're going to go short. We've obviously got the spring cabbages and the perennial kales, but it's nice to have a bit of variety in the diet. So we want 3 or 4 different types of kale as well. And what we find is we can probably get a nice kale crop almost certainly to the middle of May, maybe into late May, from these late planted plants. And so I think these are my little kale plants that I'm going to be choosing from today, and they're on my spares shelf. And these aren't obviously spares, but most of the things on here are just spares. So what have we got? We've got some scarlet kale, a lovely red curly kale, particularly lovely when it's grown under protection and then the leaves are super tender. I find that some of these red kales can be quite tough when they're grown outside, but obviously planting as small as this, they really need to be under cover. They're not going to go in the polytunnel, they're going to go in one of my low tunnels that's currently full of peppers. So I've got some Chinese kale. This is very prolific, so I won't be growing very much of that. That's just a try out, not grown that before. So I've got some really lovely Nero Black Magic. That's my favourite of the Tuscan kales. It's really great in the UK climate. We've got some cabbage. So this is a spring cabbage April, but that's not going to go under cover. That's going to go outside. Just got some standard green curly kale. This variety is Vates Blue. Won't need too much of that because I've got lots of green curly kale already. Got some more Chinese kale and some more spring cabbage, and then I've got some of this sympathetic, which is looks like a really gorgeous green, red curly kale, and some red ursa, which is a kind of red Russian, similar sort of kale to that. Doesn't look very inspiring at the moment, but apparently it's going to have these beautiful red stems once it matures a bit. Apparently they're really crunchy and lovely. So again, that's going to all go under cover. So this is where they're going. I used to do kales in the polytunnel, but now they're just going in one of these little low tunnels. I think that's plenty of protection for a kale. It doesn't really need the extra protection of the polytunnel. Get a little bit more airflow in here than it would in the polytunnel, and it'll be a little bit cooler. And of course I can open it up like this and let it get a bit of natural rainfall on it if I wanted to. So anyway, I'm going to take these last few peppers out. It's quite a nice crop on these actually. We've had a huge number of peppers off these beds. I had three of these low tunnels with peppers, and it is by far the best way I found so far of growing peppers in the UK climate. So I'm clearing the pepper bed. I just snip it off at the roots, leave the roots in. I use these big pruning shears to do that. Makes clearing the bed really quick and easy. There won't be very much weeding to do. There's the dregs of the peppers. I think these are, well, we started harvesting in July, so maybe these are the third flowering of this bed. We've certainly had a lot of these buckets, probably getting on to 15 buckets or something like that so far this year. So these peppers haven't been watered very much, so the bed is very dry. So I'll be putting about 4 watering cans on that area, another 4 on this one. And I will actually put a decent amount of feed in. Normally I don't put that much feed in, but peppers take a lot of goodness out of the soil, quite a heavy feeder. So I'm going to put in here seaweed meal, some chicken manure pellets, and a bit of bud fish and bone, because those kale plants have got a lot of growing to do, and if there's any goodness left in the soil, that's all to the good, because I'm going to be putting peppers back in here soon. Now I've just seen here, there's a cutworm. Can you see him? So I'm going to have a rummage around, see if I can find any more of those and get rid of them, because they will eat those little kale plants. So just a bit more on fertiliser. This is very sandy soil, and it used to be old farmland, and then the guy who had this before me, I think he just used artificial fertilisers because there was no evidence of any significant amount of organic matter in the soil. So it needs quite a lot of nutrition adding back into it, and sandy soil just doesn't hold nutrients well at all. I've just disturbed all the soil here just looking for cutworm. I didn't find any more, so hopefully there's not too many in here. So that cleaned up well. I only found 1 more cutworm, about 3 or 4 snails I think, and 2 slugs. So hopefully that's not too bad. I'm now going to put this spent mushroom compost. It's my favourite. It's about £1.20 a bag. So I'm actually putting 12 plants in each section. So they're only separated by maybe just over a foot rather than 18 inches. The logic being that they're going to grow really slowly for most of their lives. So, and there's plenty of nutrition in the soil, so they're not going to compete for nutrients, they're not going to compete for light. So I think they will be fine. I think I'll interplant maybe little turnips into the centres. We'll see how that goes. As always, they're going to get pre-watered with a dilute mix of this seaweed emulsion, fish emulsion, just to help them get started. So there we go, they look quite nice. I've just planted, so these are the green curly kale, the Tuscan kale, the red curly kale, and then varieties I'm not familiar with. So this is the red curly kale, this is the red ursa, another red Chinese cabbage, Chinese kale at the back, and then basically the same thing on this side. So red curly kale, Tuscan kale, green curly kale. Interplanted, I always do an interplant with turnips this time. These will almost certainly not mature into nice turnips, but they were useful for turnip greens. This interplant looks, so this is a nice green curly kale, and then interplanted in here some lovely turnips in the gaps, well worth doing. And so I've popped the low tunnel lid on, and I've treated myself to these really nice outdoor bungee cords finally. And so hopefully the objective is that I've recreated May in this low tunnel, and hopefully they'll just thrive in there now, growing away, fooled by the protection from the wind and heavy rain and hail and things that this provides. Now, I don't want them getting too hot, obviously, because I've just planted them, but I will lower this down to about half this height in about 4 or 5 days, and you know, it'll go all the way down to a couple of inches high, a couple of inches gap. It'll probably never, almost certainly never be closed fully. There's just no need to with kale. All it needs is that extra bit of protection. So hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Allotment channel, and if you've got any other tips that I could use for how to grow brassicas, leafy greens all year round, especially through the hunger gap, then I'd be really interested in it. Thanks very much. My name's Steve. No, done like that.